Jon Gosselin has revealed a terrifying medical emergency that nearly cost him his life. A health crisis so severe, the doctors made it clear he was dangerously close to not surviving it. The former reality television star disclosed that he was diagnosed with two bilateral pulmonary embolisms, a condition known for striking suddenly, progressing rapidly, and becoming fatal if not treated immediately. What makes this story even more shocking is how quietly it unfolded, without dramatic warning signs, and how it happened just weeks before what should have been one of the happiest and most meaningful moments of his life. For many people, Jon Gosselin is a familiar face. He rose to fame in the late 2000s as part of one of reality television's most watched families, navigating parenthood under the glare of non-stop public attention. His life has been dissected, criticized, sympathized with, and debated for years, but nothing in his public journey prepared fans for how close he would come to losing everything in a matter of hours. This wasn't a dramatic collapse or a public emergency captured by cameras. There were no flashing lights, no frantic phone calls at first. It began in the most unassuming way possible, with a strange pain in his leg, a discomfort that felt annoying, inconvenient, but not alarming. At first, Jon did what millions of people do every single day. He dismissed it. He told himself it was muscle pain, maybe from physical strains, stress, or simply getting older. Life moves fast and aches are easy to explain away. There was no obvious warning telling him his life was in danger, no crushing chest pain, no dramatic shortness of breath, no immediate fear, just discomfort that lingered. But that discomfort didn't fade. Instead, it slowly grew worse. Over the next several hours, the pain began traveling up his body. What started in his leg moved upward, creeping higher and higher, eventually reaching his shoulder. That progression was unusual, but still, it didn't immediately trigger panic. Jon tried to rationalize it. He convinced himself it would pass. He told himself he just needed rest. Like so many people, he tried to sleep it off. Then, in the middle of the night, everything changed. Jon was jolted awake by a violent coughing fit. This wasn't a mild cough or a brief moment of discomfort. It was sudden, aggressive, and alarming. His body reacted in a way that immediately felt wrong. As he coughed, something came up that stopped him cold. What he expelled didn't resemble anything normal. It wasn't mucus, it wasn't saliva. It was thick, abnormal, and deeply unsettling. Later, Jon would describe it as looking like silly putty, a comparison that immediately sent chills through anyone who heard it. In that moment, denial vanished, fear took over, instinct kicked in. Jon realized this was no longer something he could ignore or explain away. Instead of waiting, instead of telling himself he'd deal with it in the morning, instead of convincing himself he was overreacting, Jon made a decision that would ultimately save his life. He got dressed, got into his car, and drove himself to the hospital in the middle of the night. At the time, he didn't know how close he was to death. He only knew something was terribly wrong. When Jon arrived at the hospital, doctors acted quickly. Tests were ordered, scans were performed, blood work was taken, and as results came back, the tone shifted. What initially might have seemed like a precaution quickly turned into a full-scale medical emergency. Jon wasn't dealing with a minor issue or something that would resolve on its own. Doctors diagnosed him with two pulmonary embolisms, one in each lung. A pulmonary embolism occurs when a blood clot travels to the lungs and blocks blood flow, preventing oxygen from circulating properly through the body. This can cause sudden collapse, heart failure, and death. Even a single embolism is life-threatening. Having clots in both lungs places a person in immediate and extreme danger. Doctors explained that the clots most likely originated as deep vein thrombosis in his leg, which explained the initial pain. From there, the clots traveled upward through his bloodstream and lodged in his lungs. That slow progression was his body warning him, but it was a warning that could have easily been missed. The truth was devastating. Jon was told very plainly that he could have died. There was no sugarcoating it, no comforting exaggeration, just facts. If he had stayed home that night, if he had forced himself to sleep, if he had ignored the symptoms for a few more hours, the outcome could have been fatal. A massive embolism could have struck at any moment. He could have lost consciousness. He could have stopped breathing. He could have died alone, without warning. The gravity of that realization hit hard, and the timing made it even more emotional. This medical emergency happened just weeks before Jon's wedding to Stephanie LeBeau. What should have been a time filled with anticipation, happiness, and planning suddenly turned into hospital visits, test results, medication discussions, and serious conversations about life and death. Doctors immediately placed Jon on a strict and aggressive treatment plan. Blood thinners were prescribed to prevent additional clots from forming. Heart medications were added to support his cardiovascular system. Blood pressure drugs became a part of his daily routine. He was instructed to take aspirin regularly and remain under constant medical supervision. These medications aren't optional. Missing doses can be dangerous, even deadly. For many patients, this becomes a long-term, sometimes lifetime reality. Physically, the recovery was exhausting. His body had been through trauma, and healing took time. But emotionally, the toll was even heavier.
Stephanie, who was preparing to marry him, was terrified. The realization that she could have lost him before they even walked down the aisle was overwhelming. Joy was replaced with fear, celebration with uncertainty. Every moment felt fragile. Every symptom caused worry. Jon's children were deeply affected as well. His oldest kids, Hannah and Colin, were especially shaken. The thought of losing their father so suddenly forced them to confront a reality no child is ever prepared for. This wasn't just a health scare. It was the possibility of permanent loss, of unanswered questions, of life changing forever in an instant. When the news became public, the reaction was immediate. Fans expressed shock that something so serious could happen so quietly. Many shared personal stories of friends or family members who hadn't been as fortunate, turning Jon's experience into a sobering reminder of how unpredictable and unforgiving health emergencies can be. Others praised him for speaking openly, saying his honesty might encourage someone else to listen to their body before it's too late. Behind the scenes, another harsh reality surfaced: the financial burden. Emergency medical care doesn't stop when the crisis ends. Jon revealed that his hospital bills reached around $20,000. Even for someone who once lived in the spotlight, that kind of expense is overwhelming. Navigating insurance, reviewing itemized charges, and dealing with medical costs added stress to an already traumatic experience. As his condition stabilized, Jon began reflecting on how close he had come to losing everything. He admitted the experience fundamentally changed him. Things that once seemed important faded into the background. Fame, public opinion, old arguments. None of it mattered the way simply being alive did. This health scare also reopened conversations about Jon's complicated family history. He shares 8 children with his ex-wife, Jon Gosselin, and their family dynamics have been strained for years. At his wedding in November 2025, only Hannah and Colin were present. The absence of the other children sparked discussion, but within the context of his medical crisis, it carried deeper meaning. Life is fragile. Time is limited, and unresolved relationships feel heavier when mortality becomes real. Jon has been honest about the mental toll of surviving something like this. Living with the knowledge that a clot could return changes the way you experience everyday life. Every ache feels suspicious. Every cough raises concern. That level of awareness never fully goes away. Today, Jon continues moving forward cautiously. He follows his medical plan closely. He monitors his health. He prioritizes rest, awareness, and present. And perhaps most importantly, he carries a new perspective, one shaped by a night that could have ended his life. His story is more than a celebrity headline. It's a reminder that serious medical emergencies don't always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they whisper, and listening to those whispers can save your life. Jon Gosselin didn't just survive a medical emergency. He survived a moment that forced him to confront his own mortality, reshaped his priorities, and gave him a second chance he knows not everyone gets. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.